Rev up your engines! All right, a lot of people these days are buying or thinking about buying a hybrid. A lot of people say, oh, it's too much technology. Have they figured out how to do it yet? Well, this is a 17-year-old hybrid. The original owner brought it over here, and I'm going to show you the pluses and minuses. And if you are looking for a hybrid, what type you might want to look for. All right, he bought it brand new. It's now got 180,000 miles on it. It is still in pretty good shape. It's a Highlander, and it's got the hybrid Synergy drive. Now, Toyota's been making these things for almost 20 years. So, as you can guess, they keep perfecting them. They keep making them better and better and better. Now, he's had this thing for 180,000 miles. He's the original owner of the car. And just a month or so ago, he replaced a hybrid battery in the back, but he's as cheap as I am. What did he do? He called around, like a salvage yard, I guess, and they wanted too much money for it, and he said it's kind of rusty and looking bad. So I went to another one, and they wanted $250, and he looked at it and said, how about $200? They said, okay. So he bought it for $200, and it's in there and it's working. We'll learn more about it later, because as I'm running my computer scan on it, I can see what health the battery's in. I've got that kind of machinery, so we'll know for sure. If you bought one of these hybrid batteries from Toyota, it would be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But since these things are older, and this is no way, you can get remanufactured ones too for a little over $1,000. They're not the outrageous price that they originally were. And I mean, the car was still running. Now, this particular one, being an early Highlander hybrid, still has the V6 engine. Yes, it is the one that has the timing belt on it, but he's had the timing belt and the water pump changed. That's the main maintenance on this thing. You can't blame the car. That's just maintenance. Of course, the newer ones have timing chains. You don't even have to think about that. You can see it's got a lot of superficial corrosion on the aluminum because it lives in Connecticut, but most of the parts are still original. Certainly not the battery, but hey, still got the same motor assembly on it, generator. He's got it running now because he's got a code I'm going to search down as we go along. But it's been a phenomenal vehicle for him, 180,000 miles. Now, this particular hybrid is to get somewhat better gas mileage. He said if he's driving slow, luckily, maybe he can get 30, 29 miles a gallon. This isn't the modern one that's the 4-cylinder engine like my son's Sienna. That's a 4-cylinder hybrid, which you often get 40-something miles a gallon in. But then again, that thing costs like 50 grand too, right? The owner was saying, oh, it's getting kind of old. Hey, these things can run a really long time. But the rear is its own electric differential. The back is its separate electronics. And he hasn't had any problems with that at all yet. It's more for boosting power. And then, of course, you regenerate electricity, so you get a little bit better gas mileage because it regenerates. Although sometimes it gets better gas mileage on the highway. He says he doesn't know. Maybe it's how he drives. It's held up pretty well. Well, this is one reason I don't advise buying a black car. It shows dirt real easy. You got to wash them all the time. But look, the wheels are still in good shape. Now, the wheels have a funny story. Right after he bought it, he went back to his hometown, Lithuania, and he left it mistakenly at the New York airport. And it turns out that they stole all the tires and wheels on it, and the place that he had it parked, at least they didn't leave it with no wheels. They got refurbished wheels and tires and put it on. He found out about that later. So years later, he didn't like the refurbished tires. He found a Toyota dealer that had some of the original ones lying around, and they swapped them back out. So these are the original ones that go with it. Now, you notice there's some pitting, but that's because all these ones are made with a coating. My wife's Lexus is the same way. They coat it. If you really like clean wheels, when they get bad like this, you can take it to a place and they can clean them off and they can recoat them. A lot of guys will do that if they want. But hey, I mean, it's an older car. They look good enough. Now, since Toyota's been making the Prius for practically 3 decades, and this design is very similar except for the back. The back is all electronic differential by itself. These things have proven to be pretty bulletproof. He hasn't had any real problems with it. It's still running pretty good. And it lives in Connecticut where they use all that salt. This is one of the reasons that I tell people, if you're going to buy a hybrid, I'd advise you buy a normal hybrid. Don't buy a plug-in hybrid, because the plug-ins, they all have the battery and the wiring on the bottom of the car, because the plug-ins have a much bigger battery. That tends to corrode, salt water gets in them, dirt, dust, water, and eventually those things get damaged and cost a fortune to replace because they're much bigger than the ones in these. These are just in the back seat under here. You can see he didn't finish putting all the parts he told me when he changed the battery, which he just changed, but it's inside the car where it's sealed from the elements, and you're much better to have a vehicle with a larger battery inside the car than under the car where all the corrosion gets to it, especially if you live up north where they use a lot of salt in the winter on the roads. So overall it looks pretty good. Now comes a moment of truth. He brought it over here because he's getting some check engine lights, so I'm going to put my giant scan tool in and we'll see what shape this thing is in after all these years and 180,000 miles. So here we go. We got the Autel scan tool all hooked up and we'll go through everything quick. Even though this is an old car, it's a hybrid. They work a lot faster with data. We'll do standalone diagnosis. Already read them in. Smart key, so with smart key, we know it's a Highlander, HV, North America, 2008 3MZ FE engine with smart key, and here we go. We'll start out with the trouble codes. First, we'll do the simple one, the smart key. These often will say something like startability. They'll often do that if they don't start, so let's see what the trouble code is. Antenna coil open short. Well, it's working, so I guess we don't care. Maybe it won't pick it up when he's 40 feet away, but it's working, so. So now we get to the ECM. He said he had some codes before. We'll see what they are. System 2 lean, bank 1, bank 2. Mass airflow sensor performance problem. Okay, so odds are the mass airflow sensor is either dirty or it needs replacing. Let's look at the data and see what it says. It's not actually misfiring, it's just saying that it's messing with the air-fuel ratio. And we can see the catalytic temperatures are right. It's not that. They're each 713 in the front, 442 in the back. As I said, there's no misfires. It was only going at 1,797 RPMs when it tripped the code. It was in closed loop. None of the data looks that bad. Now, the thing is, the long-term fuel trim, it was adding 28%. That's an awful lot for it to have to add. And that's why it tripped the code. Let's look at the other data for the code and see if it's the same or if it's any different. We'll go into the data that we saw was really off when it was adding a ton of fuel. Same thing, yeah, it's adding way too much fuel. We're going to erase the data and we go for a road test. We'll reanalyze it when we come back. And before we take it for a road test, we're going to check the battery out that he just replaced. Takes a while, it's doing a lot of thinking, and a lot of information already. 26.2, 26.2, 25.6, 26.2, 26.6. They're all relatively close. Let's look at the cells. Well, you can see it's a used battery for sure, because as you can see, 15 of the cells are exceeding the threshold. It's not outrageous, but as you can see, they're all a little bit above. Realize there are 240 cells and 15 of them exceed the threshold. So it definitely is a used battery, but it's working pretty good. 15 out of 240, it's still working good now. The reason he changed the battery pack because he felt a little dragging, and he read that when these things get 150, 180,000 miles, sometimes the battery packs just go out. This is nowhere near going out because it's just a few of them out of 240 of them, right? That's the thing. You're always kind of gambling, getting something used or not. That's why you need a guy like me with one of these machines, especially if you're going to buy one of these things used. If you're going to buy one of these things used, find a guy like me, hook up his machine, and he can tell you exactly what shape that it's in, and you can even scare the people that are selling it, because you could show them that big pack of red, all above threshold. This is bad. Oh, I got to buy a battery. Hey, that costs a whole bunch of money. Now, a new battery pack from Toyota cost about $3,000. He paid $200 for a used one on one side. He changed the one on the right, on the passenger side, and the other ones are still the original ones. And wouldn't you know, by looking at the data, the middle one is the one that's the best. The cheap little one is the one that's the best, and the other two are about the same. Now, Toyota doesn't take them apart. They sell them as a 3-pack unit, and you can get remanufactured ones for as little as $1,200, depending on what guarantee. You don't have to go buy the original one from Toyota. But the Toyota one at least is $3,000 now, because when this car was new, that battery pack was 7,900 smackers. The price is coming down on these things. Now we'll take it for a spin, see how it's going, and we'll see what the data's like once we get moving. Now here we have the world's smallest backup camera. This baby is small, and it's kind of faded too, but what the heck? You can kind of see where you're going. He drove the 9 hybrid one, and he said it got about the same gas mileage. His friend had one, and it didn't really make much difference in the gas mileage. So, in this case, it is an early hybrid, and it's worked perfectly fine, but he thought, if I got another one, I should get a plain one. Of course, now it's kind of hard to find a plain one because they're pushing these hybrids. I mean, it runs good. Got plenty of power. And as I said, it's got 180,000 miles. You really can't whine at that. And here comes a gas hog, a Hummer. Yeah, look at that. It's a lot better than that. Still a nice vehicle if you don't mind bouncing around. You don't want to spend a bunch of money changing the struts out. Hearing that little bumping in the back. Hey, just turn the radio up. Speaking of radios, hey, this baby's got a CD player. Hey, look at that. So back we go. Even though the struts are worn, it still handles pretty good. Okay, now you can see the codes didn't come back. But what I want to do is look at some live data. So let's look at the data. There's nothing bad on it now, but see, because before the long-term fuel trim went bonkers, right? It was 20-something%. It's only 7 and 6 now. So what we're gonna do is pour some of my friend Bernie's ATS 505 CRF fuel system cleaner. It's a lot easier with a funnel. It'll clean it as he drives it down the road. And if the injectors weren't working right because they're clogged up, it'll fix it within a couple of 100 miles of driving. Just pour the whole thing in. Now, one of my viewers says, he just bought some of this, but he said, is it the same stuff? Is it wrong? Because it's in a metal can. Well, I switched into metal cans. I got a bunch of these plastic ones left. Metal's actually better. These, over time, you'll notice they get sucked in. The metal ones seal better than plastic ones. So you just go on to metal cans. A hybrid that's still going down the road perfectly fine. Now, I mean, the owner admitted, he said, hey, if I had to do it again, I'd get a non-hybrid one. The gas mileage wasn't that much, but that's because this is an old car. It's a 2008, right? And it's 2025 now. The newer hybrids do get better gas mileage because they have a improved setup. Realize Toyota keeps improving their hybrid system. That's why I tell people, if you're going to buy a hybrid, buy a Toyota hybrid, because they keep improving it, making it better, and they don't have problems. For example, if you get a Ford hybrid, many of them have almost the same system as the Toyota, but Ford makes them. Ford makes the transfer cases, the transmissions for them. Ford uses cheap bearings. On 150, 160, the Ford bearings break on a hybrid, you hear them, then the tranny locks up, costs you a fortune to fix, right? The Toyotas don't have that problem. They use Toyota bearings that are better bearings, they're better manufactured, so the Toyotas tend to last the longest. If you really are looking hybrid, take my advice, look at the Toyotas first, because they have the tendency of lasting the longest. They've been building them generation and making them better and better and better. You're much better off buying one of those if you want to buy a hybrid. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, another electric car company's going out of business, and this time it's in China. It's called Neta Auto. They have such a financial crisis, they dismantled their research and development. The suppliers are saying, hey, wait a second, we're supplying stuff. Well, I guess even the Chinese aren't that interested in electric cars. Neta Auto in China, which only makes electric cars. So far, they've laid off about 15% of their employees. The January sales for this company decreased 98% from last year to this year for the first month, 2025. That's insane. The company has also implemented significant salary reductions. The remaining employees are going to get a 75% pay cut. So I guess even the Chinese aren't that big on the electric cars now. From what I read, China's already kind of starting to face a recession already. Things are shutting down and the tariff isn't happening. They're not shipping more things out. So, hey, what's the first thing to go? New technology that isn't better technology like electric cars. Hey, gasoline cars were a real step evolutionary above from horses, right? Battery electric cars are a step down from regular cars. So it only makes sense that people aren't buying the stupid things, and the companies that are making them are starting to go out of business. Now, I don't know why these companies like Ford have internal memos, because everybody's going to leak them. Ford now had an internal memo that said, hey, we might have to hike our prices if Trump's auto tariffs persist, right? Now, why on earth would they send a memo out to people? Somebody's going to squeal, and somebody did. And said, hey, if this persists, they're going to raise prices. They're going to raise prices, right? I mean, they should keep their lips sealed. And not be telling through memos that we can find out about, right? We all know that if they pay more for parts, and they get a lot of parts from overseas, and a lot of Ford vehicles are made in Mexico and Canada, and if the tariffs persist, of course they're going to raise prices. That's what companies do. And they got to make money. They want to make as much money as possible. And if they have to pay more for stuff through tariffs, you're going to pay more as a consumer when you buy the stuff. They can give you all the horse manure. We'll give you our Ford family discount for people who work for Ford. We'll give it to everybody. Yeah, they're going to raise prices. This thing goes over for any extended period of time because, hey, they can. They make them. They price them. That's how it goes. But guess what? You don't have to buy them. If one company raises their prices and the others don't, go for the other companies. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.